Funding Society is the largest digital financing platform in Southeast Asia. There are so many SME in Malaysia. The bank couldn't serve 100% of them. We position ourselves not a competitor to bank. So we complement the entire banking ecosystem. A lot of younger companies actually grow very fast.
Correct.
Right? But then they just couldn't meet the requirement of having financial statement.
Yes.
Right? So I think we shouldn't stop them from growing. So that's where we came in.
She already has one store. But now she's talking about expanding to another store. How can funding societies come and help with that? Hey everyone, welcome back to the A to Z podcast. And today we have a special episode on the A to Z of P2P financing with funding societies. And personally, I have been a funding society investor since 2022. I've been using the platform since then as a diversification tool. Not only S&P 500. This is another thing that you can use to diversify from risk in the market. So today we will be covering on the personal side as an investor. What is P2P financing? And why do I invest with funding societies? And what does investing in funding societies actually mean for you? And for the SME business side, how can funding societies help SMEs get the right financing? How does it benefit SMEs in Malaysia? And how you can use funding societies to help with your business needs. We'll have case studies as well for different kinds of business. So stay to there. And today we have Desmond Lim, who is a senior sales and key accounts manager at funding societies. Desmond, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Elton. Happy to be here.
Right. And I think our audience, some of them might not be familiar with the term P2P financing. So, can you share what's this all about and who is funding societies actually?
Right. So, Funding Society is the largest digital financing platform in Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. So we have presence in Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Mm-hmm. Right. So in Malaysia, we are registered and regulated under Security Commissions Malaysia. Right. So we are a regulated platform. So peer-to-peer financing is basically a platform that connects investors with businesses who's looking for financing. Right. Mm-hmm. So as a platform, we conduct credit assessment, financial review, so that once approved, investment is actually made available on our platform, so the investor can actually invest in this investment note to support the SME.
Right, okay. Yeah. So I actually came across funding societies early 2022 from a financial advisor side. And it was because I actually targeting a medium to long-term goal of I want to renovate my house. Right, so I had this pile of money. I said, hey, I want something that is better than FD. So I was introduced to funding societies, which has been giving me about 7-8%, all right, over the past 3 years, which I'm actually very happy with. The money has been there. And I understand it's functioning like a bank, right? Me as an investor, I lend money to small businesses, SMEs, like you mentioned, and I get interest cut of that, right? So I think that's just an oversimplified version of it, right? So can you just share with me, how does funding societies, this investor side work?
I think in Malaysia, we are very fortunate because there are plenty of investment tools in the market. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people are not familiar with how P2P works. Right?
Yeah,
so basically, the investment you made are actually invested in the business. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the business who are looking for financing with various kind of purpose lah. Right, mm-hmm. So some are because of cash flow, some because for capex purpose, they wanted to expand their business. Investment are pretty straightforward, right? So when businesses are looking for financing, they will submit the application to us. So our credit team will conduct a credit assessment, then review their financial information, check their background, right? So once approved, so these companies, let's say they request for 100,000, right? So this particular request will turn into an investment note. Then we will publish on our platform. So first, investor will register on our platform as the investor, right? So you can deposit your money with us, and then you can select the investment notes that publish on our platform. Mm-hmm. So for example, you look at what's the tenor they're looking for, what's the amount you're looking for, and then you can select it. So let's say we are giving them a 90 days loan, for example. So you will get X amount of interest plus your principal back on the end of the tenor, right? So, yep.
Yeah, and I realize some of them, they actually pay ahead of time as well.
Correct. That's right.
And I've used the platform. I like it how you can, like you mentioned, the notes, or I think for, let's say, layman, use the term loans, right? Right. They have all the information, even like who are the directors, a certain amount of information about their business and all those kind of things. But if I'm someone who just I want to put my money there. I don't want to read all these kind of things. And someone can manage passively for me. Is there option for that within the ecosystem?
All right. So as an investor on our platform, first, the very straightforward one will be you can create a board on our platform. So for the board, you can set the criteria. Let's say, for example, maximum tenor I'm looking for, let's say 60 days. How much is the amount you wanted to invest for each notes, right? What kind of businesses, the industry, right? All these are your own preference. So the board, whenever there's an investment notes match whatever you require, it will auto invest, right? Subsequently, if you are a high net worth individual, right? So if your net worth are more than 3 million or your annual incomes are more than 300,000, we actually have another fund available for these sophisticated investors to actually invest. So we have our own fund manager to manage it.
Generally, what are the returns looking like on
6%?
For both?
Yeah, 6% per annum.
What are the, let's say, main things that you put your money? I think one of them was like invoice financing.
Yes.
What are the others that
we had invoice financing will be trade financing. When it comes to trade financing, you'll be on the payable side or the receivable side, right? We also have term financing with gradually up to 18 months. So you will receive your principal and interest every month as a return.
And let's say is there anyone that would actually be returning faster or, pays out better? I don't know. Because I do see in the app, some of them, they do have 12%, some of them there's 8%. So how do you determine who gets more?
Okay, so the interest decided during application stage. So when our credit team giving approval, so depends on their scoring. So some will be approved with 12% per annum, all the way up to 18%. So you will see various types of interest on our platform. So you select it, like what you said, customers are allowed to pay earlier. All right. So because typically invoice financing or trade financing, the interests are calculated based on daily rest basis. So whenever they pay earlier, they can save some interest from the SME end. Okay, for investor end, of course, you earn a bit lesser,
right.
because
but you get back your money faster.
Correct. That's right. That's
okay. Right. And just to jump back slightly a bit, just now you talked about the 6%, and what is the tenure like? Like, how do I need to put my money for, let's say, 1 year, 2 years, or how does it look like?
For those, we help you to manage. Typically, we 12 months. Typically 12 months. Yep, there's a minimum period to lock in for the investment. Yeah. So otherwise, if as a retail investor, if you select your own investment notes or you use your board to invest, those are referred back to the investment.
Those days, right? The amount of days that they credit back.
Correct.
And I think there's one thing we need to understand about loans is not that, like if other investments, we can say, okay, today I want to sell, we get our money right away. I think we also need to let people know that with loans, you need to ride out the loan period. Then only you get back your money, right?
Okay.
Right. So let's say that 1 year and I want to take out my money. Do I need to wait until all the loans are done, or with let's say the automatic investment part?
Okay, so for automatic investment or you select it manually, so that one will lock in with the tenor we publish, right? So for example, investment note A, so it's an invoice financing for 90 days, right? So you wait until 90 days when the SMEs pay back, so you'll get your principal and interest back.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a very good opportunity. But I think, can you just give one advice to people who, let's say, want to jump in and invest with them?
I think in Malaysia, all investments come with risk, right? So the higher the return, the higher the risk. But because we have credit assessment and collection in place, right? So as an investor, it's still better for you to review every notes, right? And then diversify your portfolio. Right. Even within our own platform, you should diversify your portfolio.
I think like I had a tip from my financial advisor is everything you just put 100. At that point, then after I slowly just increase based on what I feel like. All right. So let's talk now about the financing part, which is actually what most of our SMEs, my audience actually are. They are all small businesses, and actually most of us, we early 20s, when to start a business. Financing is something that we hear about, and then we straight away think about banks. Right. So what is funding societies doing different compared to traditional banks?
I think we position ourselves not a competitor to bank. So we complement the entire banking ecosystem. So banks are very excellent at doing business with financial record or with substantial collateral, right? So whereby we complement the entire ecosystem by assessing with a broader assessment criteria. So we look at the company background, what industry are they in, the key person in which is the director of the company, his background, his experience, then the bank transaction, right, as well as the total overall financial. So on top of the usual audit report and all that, so we look at a broader view to actually approve their application.
I think another thing that also we are quite fearful, to say, is interest rates. Right? We are afraid that, okay, I come and take a shorter term loan from you, I'll get charged higher rates. While banks usually, this kind of loans are lower rates. Is that a misconception or?
Okay, I think first we will sit down with the SME. Okay, so we need to understand what's the financing objective, their entire business trade cycle. So we look at the pain point of their entire cash flow, right? So that we can recommend a suitable products. So for instance, just now we mentioned about invoice financing.
Yeah.
So the interests are based on daily rest basis, right? So whenever they pay earlier, they can save interest. So we can't compare apple to apple compared to bank, right? Because bank generally offer a longer term financing, right? So from 3 years up to maybe 7 years or 10 years. So we are looking on more short-term financing. So from as short as 30 days all the way up to 18 months. So it depends on where's their requirement so that they won't overpay.
And probably based on your experience, what are some of the industries that most require this kind of financing?
We support all the industry. So to name a few, we have manufacturing, right? Manufacturing, they require most of their purchase are using cash, right? I'm talking about small and medium size of manufacturer. Then a trading company, because trading company is the one who required heavily of cash flow, right? Because they need to purchase stock, then they sell it to their customer, they give credit terms, right? And then smaller SME for retail, for example, F&B and all that. Yeah.
But I think comes to the point where most SMEs, let's say for me and my friends, when we started, we have no record, right? So how does Funding Society be able to help us? When we go to the banks, it's either you have no financial record, your amount is too small, those kind of things.
Okay, we do have various type of products, right? So like we mentioned earlier, we have term financing, we have invoice financing. So even though within the own product group, we have different types of products, depends on the credit limit. So for example, for instance, invoice financing. So whichever companies that apply 300,000 and below, we actually only assess the company background as well as the bank statement, right? To look at the trade transactions, how's the business going, the cash flow, etc., etc. So we don't require audit report and all that because I think younger company, they are facing a lot of younger company actually grow very fast.
Correct.
Right. But then they just couldn't meet the requirement of having financial statement.
Yes.
Right. So I think we shouldn't stop them from growing. So that's where we came in.
Let's say another thing you talk about invoice financing. Would that be something that we can look into when we try to apply for our cash flow?
Yep. I give you an example, right?
Yeah.
So let's say today you provide, you delivered your products or services to one of the large corporate. Okay. But then because you are still young, for example, you only like 1 year plus or less than 1 year. So you need to provide credit terms to the corporate, okay? Because I think they have their own payment window and all that. So let's say 90 days. You need to wait for another 90 days or maybe 60 days, right? Shorter. So that's where our invoice financing came into place. So you can apply our invoice financing. So probably you get a tenor of 60 to 90 days, for example, right? So it depends on how your cash cycle works. So you deliver your products, then you wait for 60 days to come back, right? The money for the corporate to pay you. Then you take a 90 days credit term with us so that once the client pay to you, then you have the fund to pay us back. So entire thing we will sit down with the SME to understand how their trade cycle works. Then we will offer and recommend suitable products.
Let's say I'm a content creator or I run a marketing agency. How can funding societies help me scale my business? How can you guys help us as well?
So as a content creator running a company, I think for longer term, probably renting a studio doesn't make sense. Okay, it makes sense for a short term purpose. I think for longer term, if you wanted to expand your business, you require to probably set up your own studio. So buying equipment, buying tools, these are all money, right? So I think my microfinancing came in handy so that you get a cash upfront so that you can spend on the equipments that you wanted to invest and then repay us throughout up to 18 months. Yeah.
So do we have to like list out, I'm interested in this honestly, list out, let's say, how many cameras we're buying, how many lights we're buying, or do I just come up with a general sum? Okay, I need, let's say, 100,000, and then you will just, as long as I can pay it back.
So earlier on, I mentioned about how do we do assessment, right? So besides company background, directors, your financial, your bank statement, additional documents such as quotation from your supplier, all right, for the equipments you wanted to purchase is an added point to your application because we know where exactly you want to spend your money and how you're going to spend it, and then whether they charge you cash or whether they ask you to pay in installment. All this information are very helpful during the application.
Okay. So take note if you want to apply. These are things that you need to prepare. Let's say I talk about one of my friends, right? She's running a F&B business. She already has one store. But now she's talking about expanding to another store. How can funding societies come and help with that?
Yep, I think we welcome F&B retailers, right? So this is a common challenge for F&B retailers because when you have sufficient cash flow, but then you need to use it for your operation purpose instead of using a big chunk of your cash flow for expansion, right? So that's where P2P come in. Funding society will come in, so we can offer them a term financing whereby the repayment tenure can up to 18 months. So they have sufficient room to play around, right? And then pay us every month, and then with sufficient cash flow to still operate the first cafe, right? So when the second cafe is renovating, doing all your preparations for opening, so I think term financing is the one who suitable for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's F&B. I think that's the most common case in Malaysia right now. But let's say we talk about something a bit more niche, let's say medical, right? I think that one you need to stock up a lot of stocks. You need to go into pharmacies, all those kind of things. How would you help this kind of business?
That's where our trade financing comes in. Okay. Just earlier on, I mentioned about account payable financing.
Yeah.
So account payable financing provides you a credit limit to actually use the funds to pay to your supplier. When we talk about retail, right, especially such as pharmacies, often they need to stock up, right? And the shelf life probably take more than 30 days or up to 60 days. And the supplier doesn't give you up to 60 days credit term. So at the same time, you need to operate your retail, you need to pay your supplier, you need to pay your salary. So that's where account payable financing comes in. We provide you a credit limit. You use the credit limit to draw down. So you get based on your supplier's invoice. So we help you to pay to your suppliers, right? So in return, you get a longer credit terms up to 90 days. So I think account payable financing are suitable for them. So they use our credit limit to actually pay to the supplier. In return, they get 60 up to 90 days credit term from us.
Right. So other than funding societies, when we're looking for financing, actually affordability is actually a big issue. Are there any initiatives or collaborations that you have that could help SMEs get access to this financing easier?
Yep. As an established digital platform in Malaysia, we work with various government agencies. So to name a few, such as SME Corp Malaysia. So SME Corp Malaysia, we have a program with them named Prestige 2.0. So we focus on the high growth, high value sector, such as semiconductors, E&E, medical devices. So not necessarily must fall under this sector, but the branches of this industry, right? Whoever serve this industry and provide added value to this industry, they are entitled for the program. So this program provides a very attractive tenor as well as rates, right? So as long as you're eligible, you can actually apply.
Right. So P2P financing is something actually is relatively new industry, right? So how do you see it maturing, and how does funding society play a role in this?
I think when it comes to financing in Malaysia, generally you look for bank first, right? Traditional bank. So like what I mentioned earlier, so digital financing basically complements the entire banking ecosystem. There are so many SME in Malaysia. So the bank couldn't serve 100% of them. So I think Funding Society came in to complement the banking ecosystem because the traditional bank couldn't serve 100% of the SME in Malaysia. So we provide customized solutions, right? Shorter financing terms, so which is more suitable for micro and smaller SME.
Okay, I think that's pretty much all the questions that we have for today regarding funding societies. Is there anything that you want to advise, SMEs business who are still on the edge of, hey, should I come and approach you guys? What do you have to tell them?
Yeah, I think best for SME in Malaysia to start explore other than bank, P2P financing or digital financing is one of the channel you can go with. So we are made available digitally. So just go on to our website. So we have all our product details there. If you are interested, you can just reply directly through our website. Otherwise, you can call our customer service, inquiries ask about some of the product details and all that. So we will assign specific salesperson to attend to you so that we can understand more of your requirement and recommend a better product for you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Desmond, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So if you're interested to invest in funding societies, you can visit their website. And if you're looking for P2P financing options, the link will be down in the description down below. You can check them out and fill up the form. All right. If you like this episode and you watched to this part, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.